Okay, and for our last speaker of the night, I'm going to manifest a pre-member. His title of his speech tonight is fittingly Me. Please welcome Ken.
My name is Ken Brzezinski, and I can see that most of you were here last week when I made my first appearance, and at that time I told you that I'm a professor of mechanical engineering at UIC, and in that capacity over the years I've given more than 100 speeches, many of them for an hour long, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, significant length speeches. I've taught my students how to give presentations, and I teach before classes. Now naturally, you were wondering, and I would suspect you were wondering, why would I come then to Toastmasters with that kind of experience? And even if you weren't wondering, it's still a question that needs to be answered, if not for you, certainly for me. Why do I want to come here and join Toastmasters with that kind of experience? So to give the beginning of that answer, I have to tell you two stories first. One goes back to when I was about 8 or 9, growing up on the East Coast, and going to summer camp, as East Coast kids often did, for a 3-week stint somewhere in the Appalachians. During that time at camp, there was an audition for an operetta, Gilbert and Sullivan operetta. I think it was HMS Pinafore. And I thought, that's for me. I'm going to try out for that. I had always loved the idea of singing. I admired singers. I loved the way singers would get up on stage, command the audience, move people's emotions, just captivate the listeners, and express themselves in a way that I couldn't express myself just by talking. So I tried out for that lead position in that operetta. They gave me a little tune to sing. The auditioner listened to me and said, Ken, you know, I think you might join the chorus over there. And by the way, when the chorus is singing, just move your lips. Don't make any sound. Now, needless to say, this was rather discouraging, given my aspirations, but I took it in stride and said maybe that's the way things are. But a few years later, I said, well, maybe that was an anomaly. So I went to a music school, decided to audition again and see if I could get some vocal training. The director of the school did the usual piano thing, hit the notes, you hit the note, and I had to try and hit it. And the director said, you know, Ken, maybe you ought to learn an instrument first. That might help you. So I got the message. And that message was repeated over the years many times. But when I became a scientist and a teacher, I thought, well, maybe I found my outlet, you know? Getting up in front of a class, I had a stage, I had an audience, a captive audience. I could move them. They couldn't do much about what I was saying. They had to stay there and listen to me. And more importantly, when I was doing science, I was giving these scientific presentations for an hour where there was subject material. And the subject material being kind of dry required that I grab the audience's attention. So I learned to give really good scientific presentations, point to the material on the screen, keep what I had up there limited so that they had to listen to me, relate to the audience, you know, point to people, make jokes, and usually extemporaneous jokes, things that came to me. And I got really, really good at giving these scientific presentations. So good that people would come up to me afterwards and say, I'd like to give a talk like that myself. Well, about 3 weeks ago, I gave one of these presentations again at a meeting, and afterwards, the woman came up to me and said, scientists, right? Colleagues. So this is not just someone who wandered into the room. Said to me, you know, I'm glad you explained that in the way you did, because I never could get that straight, and you made it clear to me. Another one of my colleagues said to me, half in jest, he said, Ken, do you want to give my talk for me tomorrow? It was so good. You always give the best talks. And I was thinking to myself, you know, I'm giving these great scientific talks, but I can't move the audience. I mean, that's not the point of making them cry or feel happy or get some deep introspective view of themselves come to the surface. It's about communicating facts. And I was there thinking to myself, listen, I can give a good scientific presentation, but maybe the time has come when my words to you, and to you, maybe it's time to make my words really sing. They should be my song. And for that, I need what Toastmasters has to offer, more than what I'm already doing. Thank you very much.